Good morning, everyone. Diana Minotti with Diana Minotti Fine Art Antiques and Collectibles. And this is a show about the day in the life of an estate liquidator and appraiser. I have my co-host, my husband, Perry Mitrano.
Yes, I'm your husband and very proud of that. And I'm glad to have you back and 100% this show. And you are, of course, very special because you're also an auctioneer as well, right? Aren't we?
Yes,
Yes, I know.
licensed auctioneers.
Yes.
And so we have a gallery. It's 5,000 square feet over on, Perry will tell you all about that. We do it.
15 Palm Harbor Village Way, right here in Palm Coast, Florida, right just north on Old Kings Road, off Old Kings Road. Behind the sheriff's office, you'll find us. We have, like Diana said, 5,000 square feet of fine art, antiques, and collectibles. And these are the items that have been selected prior to an estate sale. However, if they didn't sell or Diana wants them specifically for the shop, they'll come and you'll be able to see some beautiful stuff. And Diana refers to the shop as a gallery. I refer to the shop as a shop. So there's two good reasons for that. One is a shop, and it is also a gallery.
So in the liquidation process, the first step is to liquidate out of the home as much as we can, and then what doesn't sell will go over to the gallery. And then we have 4 platforms online selling of Shopify, eBay, Poshmark, and Marketplace. So there's lots of ways to skin a cat, and we just
And,
keep
and,
at it.
and remember, it's www.dianafineart.com. Okay.
Yes, you can subscribe to the newsletter on there. Every Thursday I publish, and it'll tell you what sale we have in the weekend and what's new over at the gallery. You can follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and join us in the fun, in the hunt.
Yeah, I'm really excited about today's show for a lot of reasons. One is it's going to be very informative. So if anybody's listening and you have someone who needs help at home, this is going to be the show for you. We got a very special guest here today. We have, of course, Bernie and Cori, and they are from the senior helpers, and we're going to ask them about their organization. And also, we have a special. This is going to be a really fun show and tell, but I'll reserve it till we get closer to it. So, Bernie, would you kindly tell us about your organization and introduce Cori to us?
I'm Bernie Fitzgerald, and my wife and I are the owners of Senior Helpers Home Care. We provide in-home care, specializing in dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's care, cancer care, ALS, unfortunately, all those horrible things that affect people. And Cori is with us. She represents us in Volusia County and Flagler County, dealing with hospitals, doctors, rehab organizations, educating them on what Senior Helpers Home Care can provide. So I'll let Cori explain a little bit about that.
Hello, thank you for having me. My name is Cori Murphy-Phillips, and this is a pleasure to be here, so I appreciate it. Thank you. Senior Helpers is phenomenal. Just a little bit about myself. I've been a nurse practitioner for 28 years, and I've worked in various roles. I've worked in the clinical area, intensive care. I've worked in sales and marketing, pharmaceuticals. Moved to Florida in 21, and been working in sales and marketing here. And I'm super excited to be here with Senior Helpers. You know, Senior Helpers, Bernie and Betty have been owners of this of the four locations for over 10 years, veteran owned. So it's very exciting.
Well, I met Betty coming to my estate sales. That's how the relationship began.
Right.
And
Well, and
she bought a series of the botanicals that you put over in your home with the January, February, March, the 12 months of the year. And she's bought different pottery and porcelain and glassware and everything else. We've become like great friends.
Yes.
And then when I found out what you folks do, I said, you should join the Estate Planning Council. You'll get a lot out of it. You'll meet people.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been coming to our meetings, which has been wonderful. And I hope that it's been a good thing for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Networking with great people. And I really appreciated it. It was very informative. So I appreciate that. Go ahead, Bernie.
some of the things that separate our Senior Helpers agency with other folks that are in this industry, we're as Cori mentioned, we're veteran owned. Also, something very important: our staff are all employees of ours. They're W-2 employees. They're background checked. We have a nurse that does our training, and so it's we're also Joint Commission accredited, and that's the same accreditation that a major hospital has. That organization governs the quality of our care and our policies and procedures. Uh, their standards are much stricter than the Agency for Healthcare Administration, which is the state of Florida's governing body of companies like ours. So
Yeah.
So, Bernie, what you're saying is that that accreditation is not something that all
No.
franchisees or people in business like yours or similar actually have, and the difference is that you're in a different level and provide a different kind of care.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very few agencies have that accreditation. Uh, not every senior helpers across the United States has that accreditation. But when we started our business 10 years ago, we wanted to provide the best care available, and having the Joint Commission govern us helps us to do that.
So, Corey, that takes training, right? So you guys have extensive training for this.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely, absolutely. Deb is our nurse, and she does the training. And then we have our chief operating officer, Sue, who also assists in the training and has done the role before in sales and marketing. And I wanted to point out, Bernie, is that Bernie sits on the board for Haven Hospice and Elder Source. Do you want to mention anything about that?
Yes, I'm a volunteer on the Haven Foundation board, and also I'm the chair of the Elder Source Advisory Council, which covers all of the counties from Jacksonville down through Volusia County, to help the elder folks that have disabilities that very often are poor, don't have a lot of money. In our organization, now the Elder Source helps them with all kinds of things. There's even been times when somebody's power is going to get shut off, and Elder Source will pay to get it back on.
That's
So,
phenomenal.
wonderful organization.
So I'm just so thrilled that we have this connection, because I'll get a phone call from someone that they're looking, they need some money or they need to liquidate. They're just inundated with stuff. And I get to the house and I realize that they really need some extra help. Family isn't nearby. And when they're telling me that they're bouncing back and forth to the hospital all the time, you know that they're not probably eating properly, they're not taking their meds timely, and they spiral out of control. And it's just back and forth of poor health.
Right.
And that's why I would always then recommend and say, you know what, I think you need a helping hand. And it's hard for people to reach out and admit, and they certainly don't want to call the children and let them know. They don't want to lose their independence. And so I find it very, very helpful that there's people like you in the field that can be available and further help them along.
And Diana, yeah, thank you. I appreciate you mentioning that. And I cover Volusia and Flagler County, but we go all the way out to the villages, and we're private pay, but we also work with the VA very closely. The VA benefits are phenomenal. We get reimbursed from the VA if it's approved for hours, and then we also work if they have a long-term care policy. So there's options. But like you mentioned, we help with the assistance of the daily living things that they just can't get done by themselves, or the caregiver might work, and it's a big burden for the family. So we're in there for a couple of hours. If you need us every day, just one day a week, whatever the situation is.
So what are the services exactly? So someone says, you know, my grandmother can no longer bathe or cook or clean. What is it that you guys do, and worry about their meds? What do you do, and how do you qualify that?
But they want to stay in their house.
Yes.
Yeah.
They don't want to
So-
go to a facility. They want to stay home.
Right. So basically, we allow them to stay in their home. Our caregivers are certified home health aides or certified nursing assistants. They go in the home and they will help with all of those things: dressing, bathing, preparing meals, shopping, doctor's appointments, skincare, making sure they can't give the medications because they're not nurses, but they want to make sure that everything is lined up. Their pill boxes are filled up. If they're diabetic, that they're eating and they're not becoming hypoglycemic. If they have heart failure, they're not going into an exacerbation and have too much fluid on board, they pick up these signs and symptoms that if they live alone or if the caregiver's working, no one is their eyes and ears. And then they communicate with us regularly and their physician's office if they need to.
That's really great. Bernie, thank you for
Yeah.
your service too, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
And then another big question is, so it's all about money. Like, how does a person who's living on Social Security may or may not be able to get all of the service? What is it that you do? How do you work with that?
Well, being on the board of ElderSource, if that's the case, and they really do have challenges with finances, we'll help connect them with resources that are available to help folks like that. Most of the people that we care for have long-term care insurance policies, also private pay, and they're in a situation where they can afford to to pay for the care. The families also get together, and they want mom and dad to stay in the house, and the families will all get together and help pay for the care as well.
Right. And just a point about that is if they go into a facility, that's very expensive as well. So
Very.
the burden on our, elderly community is really tough
Yeah.
because regardless of where they go, it costs money. So it's where they feel comfortable and where the family feels comfortable for the client.
Bernie, you had mentioned when we were chatting about the life profile. It's a software.
Yes, Senior Helpers has a proprietary assessment tool called Life Profile, and what that does is we use that assessment software tool to determine the risks that someone has in their home. And as we can improve their care plan and provide care, we can reduce those risks, and that will help keep them from being readmitted to a hospital or back into a rehab. Many times if someone is readmitted back into a hospital within a certain length of time, that hospital could be fined for that readmission. So hospitals are always very, very cautious about readmissions. They like what we do.
So speaking about what you do, I hear you guys have really great reviews. So tell us about that, and maybe give us the Reader's Digest version of how you started.
How we started in business 10 years ago is my wife and I were in the advertising business, and after 9/11, that business got very difficult, and we needed to find something else, and we did market research because that's our background, and we were able to determine that this has a great growth market, and also my wife's mother has severe Parkinson's, so that led us to look into joining a company like Senior Helpers that is so disease-focused with those diseases like Parkinson's.
Oh, that's awesome. So Diana, when you get a call from someone and they need assistance, like do you go to your Rolodex of Rolodex? And I hate to date myself, but do you go to your Rolodex in your phone and someone says, I need help? What do you look for when you're going to at least offer a service like this? Well, not if we offer the service, but you recommend someone. What's your standard?
We do recommend. We do an awful lot of referrals. I mean, this morning we have George of Supreme Steam running over to a house, checking out the tile. We have people that will do deep cleans and get the house cleaned. Landscapers that will help us out along the way. And so having someone for home care would be is really a top priority.
And I do want to point something out. This is we don't refer for a referral fee. We refer for the quality of the service. Like that's what Diana's known for. Like we just because we don't want a gift. We don't want that. We want to really earn the respect of who we're dealing with, and we know the quality of the people we deal with. So when Diana recommends you, believe me, you've gone through the needle, the Reno, right through it. So,
That's great.
So today, the in kind of how do we tie this in with the gallery and the things that we're selling and
Because we
what's
don't
out
exactly
there.
have beds in the gallery of, like we sell them on occasion, but we don't
We've
have.
sold medical
Yeah,
equipment.
we do
though.
on occasion,
Yeah.
right? But we don't have that to share to bring in. It would have been hard to get through the doors. So,
No.
but I think your suggestion was really
But we
cool.
have had, like, if you needed a Hoyer lift, shower chairs, transporters, wheelchairs,
Those
great.
generally do show up at the estate
canes,
sales.
walkers, the knee walker. I mean, we've come across lift chairs, any kind of ambulatory item.
Device, yeah.
Folks usually do reach out to us and say, "Hey, by the way, I've got someone visiting this weekend. You got a wheelchair? We're going to take people out. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Do you have, So that is
Okay, I love you.
always
I love you to
available.
death, but we're cutting into my
All right.
favorite segment
all right.
of the show.
Let's do it.
Okay,
Let's do it.
All right, because I know we're
You
selling.
can tell we're married,
We're
right?
selling. We're
Yeah.
selling.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody knows that my favorite segment of show is always show and tell. Show and tell. When we were children, and you go to school, your teacher said bring something in for show and tell. Everybody used to watch you, and everybody would listen to you, and that's something that people love. So we brought in some items today, which we'll
We're focusing on flowers
Yes.
because when someone isn't feeling well, you bring them flowers, and it brightens your day. And there's a whole history of floral artwork, starting really with where's the botanical?
Well, what do I have in my hand right here?
Well, that's a Capodimonte,
And Capodimonte is
a porcelain figurine of a flower.
and it comes from Italy.
Correct.
All right, thank you. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Capodimonte is very delicate too, by the way. So if you buy any, you have to look for very fine chips. And this was also Capodimonte, is it
No,
not?
that's English.
Oh, it's English.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it looks so.
Much different.
Mm-hmm.
That's a high glazed
that good, Mark?
porcelain, whereas the others are bisque. So they're low fired, and that is a high fired, and it's very shiny.
Right. So bisque is
that?
is not shiny,
Correct.
and high fired is shiny.
course.
So you learn stuff all the time. I know
Well,
that, but I don't know
Why
to
don't-
tell you
but
that.
Why don't we?
Well, let me get rid of these things because these are so delicate. So I don't want to break them. And this one is
That's also the Capodimonte floral.
okay.
Now Lennox makes them also. We get them. A lot of companies make them. People tend to like the Capodimonte because you actually can see the fingerprints on the flowers as they hand mold them.
Okay. What would you like to do next? Because I
Well,
have these.
I want to get into this botanical over here.
Okay. Well, I got one up on here.
No, no.
Not yet.
No.
Okay. Hold on. I'll get it.
So the botanical illustrations. Remember the Audubon show that we did with the birds? Is that botanical illustrations were very, very popular throughout Europe and the U.S. in an early period, and you have to remember that your garden was extremely important to you. Not only did it have herbs as remedies, but flowers to decorate. And that was part of the woman's, her housely duties was to go in the garden and pick flowers. And so you needed to know your flowers. And there is an entire history. This is called The Language of Flowers. I love this little book. And that if you look through your throughout art history, the paintings, the flowers in the paintings had very specific reference and symbolism. So if you would always see the Virgin Mary with the white lily, and that was purity and devotion. If someone gives you red roses, that is of deepest love, whereas yellow roses are friendship flowers.
I always give you roses.
You do. But I like tulips too, carnations and, whatever. But so you can, if you look at if you look throughout periods, like if someone's holding the orange blossom in a portrait, that means she's pregnant or going to have a child, because you would eat the orange for nausea, so you would see that. The peony flower is bashfulness. The primrose is early youth. I just picked out some of the ones that we come in contact with all the time. Blue violets are faithfulness, and so there's references throughout. So these illustrations were made in portfolios, and that's why you would have months of the year for each flower that was come in bloom or represented that month. And so at the gallery, we have these are the two oldest ones we have. These are closer to 19th century, turn of the century. And then we have
It is
that
stamped
other one,
1781 at the bottom. So what,
18th century.
yeah. So when they did this, it was done in black and white and then embellished with by color by hand, or
Both.
Both.
Some of it is also the print, the different stages of different colors, but then some of it is actually hand colored, as opposed to like this painting here. And that has a very high impasto. Can you see that, Mark? I can see it. Okay.
Diana,
Yes.
how old are the ones that we have?
That's early 20th century. Those months of the year, and they're beautiful.
Yeah.
And she sent me a picture of
Oh,
them
did she?
installed.
Yeah.
It looks great.
You should have seen me trying to hang them.
Oh, that's true. Getting all
Yeah.
6 in a row and then doing the double row of the other 6.
Yeah.
That must
Yeah, but
have
they're
been.
beautiful on the wall. They're just fabulous.
They were a series similar to that.
So this series right here is actually one of my favorite in the store. So was struck in black and white, and then this would have been embellished by artists, and then because each one of these are flowers for December, and these would be hand painted by
No,
artists.
this one
maybe?
is actually just all printed.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
The older one is hand colored.
And this was also 1700.
Well, that was the original. This is a restripe.
Well, of course, yeah. So I don't know if you could see that. These are in the store. They're beautiful pieces. So if you,
And we forget how important and how much we know about flowers. If I said to you Claude Monet's water lilies, everybody knows what that is, right?
Right.
Or Vincent van Gogh's sunflowers.
Right.
Everybody knows what that is. He's made that so famous. Or Georgia O'Keeffe's flowers. Everyone knows what that is. So this is it's very much part of our everyday society, and I just love the flowers. This one, this is a really important piece.
so flowers on art has been around forever, but this is also, like you said, now this is silver, right?
Well, this is silver overlay, and actually, it's signed here. It says Sterling right on it, and this is a little.
Candy dish.
It could be a divided candy dish, or you could use it as a trinket, or even as a dresser jar.
What
With your
year would you say
jewelry.
that might be?
This is early 20th century, late 19th to early 20th century. I just love silver overlay. It's not a big seller, but I think it is the most beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It
Well,
really
let me
is.
show it first, and I'll pass it over to you guys.
And silver overlay we have in the gallery right now, vases, sugar and creamer sets, platters. In fact, there is a platter that says 25th anniversary, which is coming up for us.
Okay. Okay, but what's leaving to replace the 25th? You know,
I'm
which,
just saying. Just saying. And then we have lots of pottery in the gallery. Now, this is an early piece. This came from a collector. He lived in Connecticut on Route 7, where all those antique shops are. And this is a very early piece of pottery, and it's hand-painted. So those flowers are hand-painted on there, as opposed to, say, that bowl next to you. Let me see. Is that transferware?
that's transferware. And explain what transferware is, because a lot of people don't know what that is.
Okay, so transferware during the Industrial Revolution, instead of having artists hand paint every single flower, they would have them printed
I don't know if you can
onto
see.
it, and then they could hand embellish, say, the gold leafing around the edges. This is also pierced. This is very pretty. Looks Bavarian. Dresden, yep.
This is great. flour jar.
Isn't that? Or a bean pot,
Yeah, cookie jar.
cookie jar.
What year would you say this pierced bowl is? Or vintage?
Probably early 20th to the mid-century. They're still making them now.
And that's
very
the stamp
fragile.
on the back.
It's very pretty.
That is, these next two pieces are quite interesting because these are really old and
Okay, so those are cloisonne, which is enamel on brass with brass edges. That's a pair, and it's always nice to have them as a pair.
and what is cloisonne, Diana?
I just said it's enamel on
Oh,
brass.
sorry, I must have been thinking in my own head. All right, and the last one we have is a Weller, and tell them who
Weller
Weller is because
Weller
I guess
pottery.
Weller, and who's the competitor to Weller?
No, there's Roosevelt. There's a lot of Ohio pottery companies and the Midwest. So we have Weller, and there's Rookwood, and there's Roseville. Did you bring that piece of Roseville?
No, I don't remember. No, it's not here.
The low bowl, that big round.
I could
low
go
bowl.
look one more time, but I don't think so.
All
Well, I could do that while you're wrapping up. Okay. So if you're from like West Virginia, Western Pennsylvania, you will instantly recognize Weller or Roosevelt in a heartbeat. So, and those people will buy this right away. If they're visiting, they'll buy it for their own little collection they may have. And we feature this on our eBay store. It has an e-sticker on it. So if you want to find it, you'll be there too.
Yep, you can go to our website, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you'll see a button for eBay, and you can see what we have online for sale on eBay. You can see our Poshmark store. So to wrap it up, our next estate sale is called Green Mountains Vermont Antiques. And this sale is a long time coming. Someone just called me this morning. Unfortunately, it was on the docket. It was supposed to be an April 2024 sale. And they had many medical issues, and then the house sale fell through, 3 different contracts, 2 different realtors, many hospitalizations. So we are finally going to get this sale kicked off. We've been advertising it for quite some time, and it's really special. The Vermont Antiques is a yellow pine, and that's hard to find down here, and has a very primitive look and very sought out.
If I may, this is Roseville. This is also from the same region, like West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and this, of course,
Ohio.
is that in Ohio, and this is of course the Weller. So it's all from the same region, very similar in style, the way they make them.
So at the gallery, we have a Memorial Day sale, and we're running it through the end of the month. And Yellow Dot is new arrival, 25% off. Much is 50% off, and if it has a blue dot, means it's clearance, and it's 75% off. And so because we always have to make room for new stuff coming in. Weekly, we have new material coming in.
All the time. In fact, I really have to tell you, sometimes I'll go in and I'll know where something is, and someone will come in and say, do you have blah, blah, blah? And I'll be like, yeah, come with me. I know exactly where it is. I'll go there. It's not there. And then I'll have to call Diana because Diana knows where it went. I don't know. Or even
Myra's,
Myra.
Anthony.
And I'll be like,
Olaf,
they must think I'm
Ray.
like the old guy that don't know anything, when I'm there.
Well, things do
But we
get-
find it. Yeah, you move them all the time, especially in the house, I'm going to say. You know that, right? It was in the house. It was there. I'm telling you, it was there. And then she says, it's been up there for 2 years. I mean, it's not. It's
All right,
a
let
piece of-
me just clarify something.
Otherwise, we'll go over the
We had a sofa
the,
and love seat set in brown leather. I sold it and bought another set. He sits on that set. He had no idea. Okay, so let's just clarify.
All right, let's.
He had no idea.
All right, you can find us
All
at
right.
15 Palm Harbor Village Way, and why don't we wrap it up so we can get our last,
All right. So the next estate planning council meeting that I'll see you at is June 19th on your birthday.
Oh yeah, it is my birthday.
And we're going to have it's a husband and wife team. She's the realtor. She's the real estate appraiser, and he's a realtor. and we're going to discuss senior housing trends. And then I just want to give a shout out for the Bunnell History Day, the Flagler County Historical Society. We're getting close. It's June 7th.
They were our guests.
And yes, they were on the show. You can look at some of the back podcasts of Ed had joined us, and we're getting ready for that. And then our upcoming radio show, we have the Veterans Museum coming up from Daytona Beach to cover for our Memorial Day. And then we have the Daytona Tortugas coming in, and then we'll marry that up with our baseball trading cards and memorabilia that we have at the gallery. So we
Bernie,
got some good shows coming up.
If you've never been to the Veterans Museum, being that you were a veteran, you want to go there. It's right there in Daytona. It's an incredible museum. It starts from the Revolutionary War all the way up to the most recent. You'll never believe what you see. In
I'll
there.
be sure and go.
And I had a cousin who was killed in Vietnam, and they actually have the book with all of the service personnel, and I found his name. So it's very moving as well. Anyway, well, it's time to wrap it up. So give us a quick again. You guys are.
We're senior helpers. We provide home care. You can go to seniorhelpers.com, and you can find us there.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
having
much.
us. Yeah.
Bernie, thank you so much.
Appreciate
thank you,
it.
Diana.
Thanks again.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Engineer. Thank you.